Good evening, Warriors, and welcome into another edition of the R&R Sports Report. I'm your host, Randy Isbell. With me, as always, Mr. Robert Hagan. Robert, man, what's up?
Oh, just a little bit of everything. Ready for, a little sad seeing high school football starting to come to an end, but knowing that in just over 3 weeks, at least Washington side, you and I talked pregame, you already have Idaho basketball coming up. So it's going to be
this weekend.
It's going to be crazy already to think about, football done. And now we're going to be rolling into basketball.
For local high school football, we're down to 3 teams.
Right.
We're down to Kendrick, we're down to Cami, and then Pomeroy starts their tournament this weekend. And like you said, this Friday, Lewiston girls basketball starts. The boys don't start till December, but Idaho is nice to me and kind of gives me a little start to just one of the two sports so I don't have double headers right off the bat and kind of ease myself back into basketball. I already covered a couple of non-LC games, and I'll cover another one on Friday before that game. So,
well, yeah, you and I talked a little bit about it, and I know I got asked earlier. I mean, we have so many things going on. We figured out baseball or basketball's done. Volleyball is still a little bit. We'll talk a little bit later here about LC volleyball, but you're rolling right into basketball. I'll be doing the Kendrick game for NFHS, so it's kind of we're not going to have a pause. I think we're just going to keep.
There's no pause. I actually had a teacher today that knew that I did play-by-play for volleyball. He goes, "Well, what are you going to do with your free time?" I go, "What free time?
What's that?"
Robert Taylor's over here being anxious, man, and I do not blame him. I just want to get through it real quick. Happy voting day. Hopefully you went out and voted. I do not care what side you vote for.
Exactly.
But go out and vote. That's all I care about.
At least you did it, right?
Yeah. Go out and vote. Matters. Whether it's Republican, Democrat, Independent. I saw some weird parties on the ballot. Had some fun. I did vote for Haley Moses on one.
Did you?
Yeah. In Idaho, there's like 6 unopposed races. So I just opposed one of them with Haley.
Well, I think there was like 9 on the Washington side. There wasn't very many in there. So
also happy get back to work day, as none of us won the $2 billion Powerball. I had so much fun last night watching the over the top reactions to the Powerball being delayed, which apparently has happened multiple times over the last couple of years, where things don't get reported correctly or whatever, so they just can't reveal the numbers just yet. But
they got to pause.
Yeah. And obviously when it's about $2 billion, there's a lot more people that are paying attention to it. So then it has to be some kind of crazy conspiracy or whatever. All I know is I started watching the live feed from one of the news station down in Florida. They had something on YouTube and we were goofing around and watching it. I just wanted his setup. I sent it to you. I sent it to Robert Taylor as well. Guy had like 7 computer screens in like a half circle around him. And just a swivel chair. I was like, that's what I need for this show. It's like we have our studio computer that I can keep an eye on some chat stuff, and I have my laptop for notes and stuff. But I need another one so we can start having like drops and stuff.
Yeah. I want to be like home where I have another computer screen.
I want it even better than home.
Well,
I just want the big giant everything. And also, as Robert Taylor said in our chat, happy Ragnarok release night.
What?
For those non-nerds out there, there's a game, God of War. We got rebooted in 2018 and one of the greatest games of all time. The sequel comes out tonight. So it comes out on Wednesday, but obviously midnight Eastern is 9 p.m. for us. So here in just under 3 hours.
Crazy.
And Don, not on purpose, gave me the night off.
Oh, what a nice guy.
Let's go. I'm going to be playing some God of War Ragnarok right after this show.
Well, that'll keep you busy. Hey, it must be a good sign because our guest has already messaged me. Hey, we're still on for tonight, right? And I said, yep, already got you set up, ready to go.
Yep.
So he's excited. He'll be here. We got a guest at the top of the 7 o'clock hour. So.
Yep. Sean will be back. Sean Pullman, LCSC volleyball coach. Still the only coach we've ever had on this show. As far as from LC, from LC, we've had some high school coaches, but now I believe it's 3rd time coming on. But they get ready for their big.
He's trying to catch Alicia and
Alicia's tough to catch.
Yeah, Yeah, she's way ahead of everybody else,
Yes.
and then it'll be interesting to see who we got in there. But
Before we get into the football, let's just kind of run through some other stuff. Volleyball, as we had
oh my
mentioned, as
lord,
far as high school goes, going into
yep.
state. Do you know specific days yet for Clarkston
So as far
crossover?
as what's happening with that, crossovers are playing tonight.
Okay.
So if you are following the CWAC and the GSL, Clarkson is waiting for their opponent right now. They'll travel to a CWAC. Is that like kind of like an Ewok?
Yep.
Okay. The CWAC crossover game where they're waiting on the finals of their games tonight. Hopefully by tomorrow morning we will know who Clarkson will travel and play in their crossover game. So Pullman will be hosting a CWAC game this week. So excited to see where that goes. It's going to be tough. CWAC is tough on the volleyball side. I've seen some of the teams. So it'll be interesting to see how the Bantams come out. We do know it is going to be a Saturday game, but as far as where, we won't.
Right. And then congratulations to Pomeroy. They made their 9th straight state appearance. Last one in 2019. They've just been dominant over the last decade or so. Had to go through the losers bracket to get there. Had to win out, and were able to do just that. So congratulations to them. And then unfortunately, soccer did lose their crossover game to East Valley of Yakima. That team was brutal. If you look at those stats for East Valley, they lose 3-1. Rebecca Skinner scored in the 5th minute. And then Emma Walriff had a hat trick to defeat the Bantams. So the Clarkston girls soccer team has been eliminated. And real quick, I just want to get your quick thoughts. Obviously, you were lucky enough to go to Clearwater Combat and check out some of our good friends go out there and fight. Just kind of talk about the atmosphere in a couple of these fights.
Hey, shout out to all those guys. I know there's a few of them that are listening over on the YouTube channel tonight. So a couple of the fighters, Connor White and those guys, the Morales family. But hey, what an environment. What Arnett has done with the Clearwater River Casino, shout out to them, and bringing Clearwater Combat in there. They're starting to talk the idea of having 3 shows a year because it is getting that big with people in there. One match did get canceled. Blaine Thomas.
I was so
Levi
disappointed about that because Blaine, we talked about it on the show last week.
Yeah.
And Austin had told me that when I did my interview for the preview, if he had been training for 6 months,
right,
and just went, you know what, it's a bucket list thing. Let's just go for it. I want to fight. It wasn't like I want to become a fighter. It's just, you know what, I just want to go. I want to scratch this itch, see what happens, and then he's unable to do it.
Well, where I got to sit right behind the Morales family, so they were right in front of me, and then sitting to my immediate left was Lewiston wrestling coach Ty. He was there. And so we were watching, and we were bummed when we saw Blaine sitting behind us and not getting it to fight. So it overall was really good. A couple of big, quick rounds. They went. Only one went the entire distance. Almost the entire distance. But some big ones. Connor White knocks off Zach Trombetta in the 2nd round. Melvin Joy making his debut. He ends up not even fighting the guy that he was scheduled to fight. Had a new opponent within 2 days.
I'm pretty sure it's COVID that took out his opponent.
Yeah, so 2 days.
That was supposed to be an Arnett versus Arnett group.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Dylan Swearinger is who it was. Yeah. And then he wasn't able to make it. But Melvin Joy coming away with a win in his first fight. Again, we did talk about Thomas, his fight getting canceled. Dimitri Morales, friend of the show, been on many times. We were bummed didn't get on here. Comes away first round TKO, 77 seconds. I mean, a minute and 17 seconds. He's able to knock him off. Local Lewiston high school wrestler, Lewiston high school student Drake Randall comes away with his big debut. The doctor stops the fight after the.
That was another person that Austin was raving about.
After the first round, they called the doctor in, look at him. And the dude's right eye was already totally swollen up and almost swollen shut, black and blue. So that kid's going to be impressive. Him and Dimitri are going to be impressive to watch in the ring. Owen Robinette defeated Joey Walker. in the amateur lightweight title, the only title fight that happened that ended on a chokeout in the 5th round. I texted you. This was the fight that was, to me, the most boring. It just seemed like they got a couple of strikes in, and the next thing you know, they were just kind of hugging on the floor pretty much for the most part. But then you get into some big local action. Bryce Wyatt comes away with a first round TKO. Brian McElroy, friend of the show, defeats Chris Inslee. Also quick work in that one. I think he was about a minute.
It didn't take long. I've seen the footage of that one.
Yeah.
I think his mom was the one that posted it.
Yeah. And then, sad, but.
Or maybe it was Dimitri's mom that posted Brian. I forget who.
I don't know.
I saw the video.
There was a lot of folks. Brian's got so many following. I mean, we talk about him in the school district. So many of the kids know him from there. I was shocked to see how many kids were, students, past students, and current high school students that were there watching Brian fight. And so it's growing. And last but not least, in the main event, Jared Fisher comes up just a little short. He there you go, buddy. We love you, Jared. Tough loss, and kind of gets his bell rung a little bit. Ends up shattering his nose in the first round.
You showed me the picture of that.
Jared posted a picture.
Jared, do not do that to us when we finally get this training session.
I know that was the first thing I thought of when I saw the picture. I'm like, dude, he's gonna rock my nose because I'm gonna be the next guy he faces.
That's true. That's true.
He gets back in the ring. Ooh. So, but much love to Jared and all the guys. I mean, tough bout for him, and unbelievable atmosphere. That the place is just rocking, and what they're doing there. So I really hope that Austin gets another chance to do like 3 events a year. That'd be great, especially how much everybody's growing. And so many names were independent names.
So here's my thing. Obviously, I wasn't able to be there live. I covered the Kendrick football game and then had to go down to the office and work, so I wasn't able to go. But just seeing pictures and stuff, it's like I'm not going to knock Clearwater River Casino. I look like they put on a very good show, but it's very flat.
Yeah, there's
why not use like the activity center? Like, I know you have to be careful with the floor, and you have to probably put something over it to put the cage on it. I'm sure there's a lot of situations with that. I know a lot of arenas that have basketball, just take the hardwood floor out. I don't think LC's able to do that, but we've been there for Golden Throne. And how loud that could be.
I think that could fill that place out.
That would fill that place up easily, and the noise in there would be amazing. So that's just one suggestion I have out there.
Maybe that's
if it's possible to put a cage in the activity center. I don't know the legal ramifications and stuff that the college would have to go through as well for that, but I think that would be a really cool
and they do
atmosphere.
have the lights that they can shine down on, as far as the following in. But yeah, can you imagine having people still sell the floor seats, but then having all those extra seats?
Yeah, it's a lot. A lot of seating in there. It'd be super loud.
All right, Brooke. Here we go. Brooke,
again, I don't know the legalese or the logistics of it.
Austin,
but
let's
just throwing it out there.
Let's.
You want a third Clearwater Combat? How about one right there?
Yeah, there we go.
All right, let's get into some NFL. I want to just say I apologize if the internet connection's not being great. I just keep looking over and things are being stuttery. Things have been an issue over here before the show, at least with my computer.
Well, yeah,
so we will see how it goes. Maybe I just need to have you launch the show from now on. You seem to have better internet than me when we're in the same room.
Well, where are you at, Taylor? You're ways away. Robert Taylor. Mine is terrible too.
Oh, he's in California. They're dealing with storms and stuff going on right now. Let's get to the NFL. Let's recap some games first, and then we're going to have some fun. Philadelphia remains undefeated to the shock of. Anybody? Nope. Anybody shocked? No?
No.
Not at all. Actually, to me, the game of the week, at least entertainment-wise, and this was shocking, Miami Dolphins and the Chicago Bears. You had Tua and Fields going nuts.
Listen, I didn't start Fields in one of my fantasy
Well,
football
that
leagues.
was your fault. I don't even do fantasy this year, and I know you. He's a running quarterback. You start them, but he has been throwing the ball pretty well lately. I think everyone all of a sudden anointing him the best quarterback out of that draft class is a little ahead. Though, I mean, really, what's his competition right now? Trevor Lawrence does not look good. Zach Wilson definitely has not looked good. The Jets do a good job of reeling him in. We'll talk about that. Mac Jones has not been good. So, I mean, to be fair, he's the only one that's been showing any competency lately, but I don't think he's going to be fantastic just from what he has shown. But he has shown signs, and them allowing him to run the ball as much as he has been is going to be very good. I've heard people talk about, all of a sudden Justin Fields and Lamar Jackson are battling out for the best running quarterback since Mike Vick. That's a high praise.
Oh yeah, and I think he's got a great chance at it. I mean, you look at I'm all about the upcoming schedule. You look at he's got the at home versus the Lions in Atlanta, at your Jets, and then versus the Packers. So I mean, he could easily go ape over the next.
Oh yeah. Weeks. And I'm not taking anything away from Justin Fields. It's just maybe pump the brakes a little bit as far as long term.
Right. Oh yeah, especially.
But he is the best of that draft class right now, for sure. It was a very entertaining game. Tua over 300 yards. Listen, Tyreek Hill and Waddle right now. What a ridiculous 1-2 punch. We'll talk about Tyreek Hill a little bit with our midseason awards. Waddle's been hilarious. Every time he scores a touchdown, I laugh because the Waddle dance is just my favorite thing in football right now. But Miami is all of a sudden a very scary team. That defense is pretty good. They are undefeated when Tua starts. So you have to give them a shout out there. One game that was not fun to watch, the Detroit Lions beating the Green Bay Packers 15-9. And I have told Robert Taylor this. He always gives me grief because I took Aaron Rodgers over Patrick Mahomes in our preseason quarterback thing. I would like to have that back. There's a few preseason picks I would love to have back, but Aaron Rodgers looks like he has aged 10 years in the last 6 months. It's bad. This team is bad. He's bad.
I think he's trying to find his youth. I was ripping on him about his haircut here, but listening to the way he talks about all these guys and listening to Rex Ryan talk about him on Sunday on pregame stuff was okay. Trade deadline's all over now. Now let's bring these guys in. Matt Hasselbeck was talking. Let's bring him in. Now, these are my guys I got to play with. Now let's try to mend the fences. How do you mend the fences?
It has nothing to do with mending the fences. For one, they're getting injured left and right.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got Lazard that who knows if
two of his 3 interceptions had nothing to do with the wide receiver. He had one tipped up and was just kind of an unlucky thing. Then he underthrew the next one. Well, excuse me, the one he threw in the end zone the second time where he's trying to hit his offensive lineman and threw it 7 yards short, where Hutchinson had the easiest interception any defensive lineman will ever have. That's not on a wide receiver. It's not on a miscommunication. And then his third one, he just straight underthrew the cutter.
And all of them were in the red zone. Yeah. That's the biggest part. I mean, where the place you have to take care of the ball, the biggest is in the red zone. And it just didn't look comfortable at all.
And again, he throws it 43 times. And they were never down big. No. I mean, Detroit only scored 15 points.
Yeah.
Run the ball.
Yeah, and especially now you get Dallas this next week. You then get King Henry. You get Tennessee. Then you get Philly. I mean,
it's not easy.
Sorry, Haley, but
she knows.
It might be time to think about.
Yeah, they might have a top 5 draft pick.
Yes, I would not doubt something like that.
Speaking of a team that might get a top 5 draft pick that I put in my conference championship game, like I did Green Bay, the Indianapolis Colts have fired Frank Reich. They got just squashed by New England, 26-3. I got 2 questions for you.
All right.
Was the hiring of Jeff Saturday as the interim coach a pure sign of tankism? And 2, are you finally worried that we have both eliminated New England from our eliminator game of not making the playoffs?
New England or Indianapolis?
New England.
Yeah. Listen, I think Jeff Saturday has got a decent football mind.
How do we know that?
But and that's the problem. He hasn't done any coaching on a offensive coordinator or just a position coach. That's what scares me. Okay, here you go. You've been retired for so many years. We're just going to give you the interim tag. I don't know if that's a proven thing. Now,
no.
What upsets me the most out of all of this that we're hearing is there, and I understand the NFL is still trying to get the whole race thing, make sure even jobs out. I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think Irsay was just trying to make a statement.
This is a PR. This is a PR move, bringing in a former Colt. He couldn't talk Peyton Manning into it, so he brings in Jeff Saturday. Listen, Jeff Saturday obviously was a great football player, great offensive lineman for the Colts for many years. He does a great job on ESPN. He's very entertaining. But how many analysts who used to be part of the NFL go back to the NFL to be a coach or a GM or what am I thinking of? A mentor, and none of it works out.
Right.
And then they end up back on ESPN. This to me just shouts PR move. We're bringing in a famous Colt to try to fix it. It's a tank job. They're done.
I think over. They're just playing to get the next game in. And you look at, where out of the next few games do they possibly get a win? Maybe they have at the Raiders this weekend.
Oh, we don't need to go through their schedule. It's done.
But looking at their schedule,
I don't care if they're
playing. I think that might be the only game.
I don't care if their remaining schedule is the Bears, the Cardinals, the Jaguars, and the Texans 5 times. The Colts are done.
Well, yeah, I think so. And then seeing it, like I said, though, I think there's 2 games that they might get wins. The rest, nope.
Do you regret eliminating the Patriots yet?
I don't think so.
I'm getting a little nervous.
I don't think
I'm getting a little nervous.
I mean,
because they could just keep winning games. Hopefully, the Jets can smack them back down in a couple weeks, but we'll see.
I don't think they're that far out. I mean,
so Frank. Well, yeah, they're over 500. Frank Wright is fired.
Right.
Let's go to another coach that could be fired soon. Josh McDaniels. The Raiders, for the 3rd time this year, blew a 17-point lead 3 times. They are 1-3 when up by 17 points. The rest of the NFL in those situations have only lost twice this whole year. What?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
They made the big move to get Adams in there and all that, but
he looked good early.
Yeah, and that's what the thing. They look good early. I actually had a student show up and
sorry, Robert Taylor saying that McDaniels needs to be extended immediately. Yeah. That's a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, exactly. I had a student ask me today as he saw me typing on my paper today, and he's like, "Why is Adams such a crybaby and drama?" He's like, he made the comment. He says he just seems to be a lot of drama for that team.
I don't think it's.
But listening to Derek Carr talk about how, in his press conference how things have to change. Well, yeah, where do they start though? I mean, it just seems like there's. I don't know.
Don't worry. McDaniels will be a coordinator for New England next year.
I was never a huge fan of the whole general manager signing of. I'm drawing his blank right now.
The other NFL analyst. I can't think of his name.
I mean, so does that go to that same proof of what's happening with Jeff Saturday?
They just need a clean house.
Has happened here. I think that's exactly the thing.
Do you remember when we thought the AFC West was the best division in football?
No, I never did.
Well, it's definitely not. But you definitely did not think the AFC East was the best division, which it is. Every team over 500. The Jets beat Buffalo 20-17. What a great second half for the Jets.
What a second half.
Running the ball, controlling the football. Zach Wilson making a couple key plays to extend that drive. Our buddy Harry Broadhurst was telling me that they should have went for it on 4th down. That made absolutely no sense in a tie game. And then he got sacked anyway, so it was an easy field goal decision. Like, no, you kicked the field goal. He's like, well, what about the Buffalo offense? I go, what Buffalo offense? It hasn't been there at all in this game. Jets defense is legit. Might be it's a top 3 defense in the league. Could be top 1.
I still want to put Williams in there I almost put him in
Al
there as a
Quinton,
war. Yeah. So it just it'd be interesting. All right, I gotta know who's Nice Life.
That's Mark.
Okay, so Mark send him to the Jets.
I believe that's Mark Nelson. But I'm not sure. Maybe it's not.
Why would you send him to the Jets?
Send who to the Jets?
I'm assuming McDaniels to the
Oh,
Jets.
nobody wants him.
So
Absolutely not. Just still mess Brees Hall, but I think Carter and Robinson looks pretty good.
yeah,
I'm not worried about Buffalo just yet. Maybe a little worried about the old elbow of Josh Allen. It's me.
It's
a little worried about the elbow of Josh Allen. They're getting that checked out. But that last throw he made for like 70 yards, it ended up being incomplete. I'm not super worried about that. The one game that you and I picked different, I nearly had right. Washington was beating Minnesota. And then old Heineke just threw the worst interception I've seen other than Aaron Rodgers this week. And it was another good comeback for Minnesota. Once again, they win a very tight, low-scoring, one-possession game. They're still not in my power ranking, spoiler alert, but they probably should be. But
I've had them there for 3 weeks.
I still not sold that they're a great team, but they're finding ways to win these games.
You look at I think about that. So NFC, and you look rank the top NFC teams in there. I mean,
Dallas, San
is,
Francisco.
1-2 Philly.
I skipped Philly, Dallas, San Francisco, and then Minnesota. So we do the top 5 for the NFL, and they're 4th to me in the NFC.
Yeah.
And no, we have not talked about how bad Pittsburgh is because luckily they're on a bye, so we don't need to talk about that mess. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to put it on record because you and I continue to pick against the Seattle Seahawks.
I know.
We keep going, they're going to get upset here. Or, it's just... I am putting it out there right now. I will not pick against the Seattle Seahawks until week 16 when they play the Jets. I put it out there. You can mark my words. We put our picks out there every Thursday. Just put an X next to Seattle on my pick'ems for the next several weeks. They have just destroyed my overall record because I continue to pick against them and they continue to win.
And looking, week 16.
I haven't even looked at the schedule. I just know they play the Jets.
Well, looking at week 16, I mean, look at the next one: the Bucks, Raiders, Rams, Panthers, and then they finally get into some play with the 49ers, the Chiefs, the Jets, and the Rams. So,
I just said I'm picking the Seahawks against the 49ers and Chiefs. Well, it's already locked in.
It's auto lock, but
it's auto locked in. It's in.
I can see the Seahawks winning the next 4.
Is it the Jets in week 17? Is that what it is?
Yes.
I just know they play I know
Chiefs
the
week
Jets
16.
are at the Seahawks late in the year.
Yeah. Rams in 18, Jets 17, and Chiefs 16.
So maybe that's what I meant. Until week 16 when they play the Chiefs.
It depends. Robert Taylor might have somebody that might be hurt, and then really feel like.
Speaking of Kansas City, real quick, we'll just jump on that. Nice, hard-fought win against Tennessee. It was not pretty. It was actually really ugly. It just shows you how weird the NFL is. Hey, Kansas City is at home against Tennessee with Malik Willis, who goes 5 of 16 for 80 yards, and they hold Derrick Henry under 500 yards rushing. So
how about everybody complaining about him almost throwing 70 times?
It's too much. I think they got out of their game plan a little bit. They still don't trust the running game. But in the end, and they only scored 20 points, so it wasn't like that was the only thing that was working. Nothing was working for that team. 68 times is too much. And I don't know if Robert Taylor will agree or not. They just have Andy. Yeah, I mean, Tennessee, it does do that, but still, I think they threw it too much. But in the end, all that matters is you get the win or loss. Mm-hmm. And for the Chiefs, they get the W. And that's all you can say. And then I did not watch any of this game, so I'm going to leave it up to you. I kind of got lost on Monday Night Raw randomly.
No spoilers because I still haven't watched Raw yet.
You don't need to watch it. I didn't say it's good. I didn't say I got locked into Raw because it was good. I just, for whatever reason, got locked into Raw. So I did not watch any of the Monday night game. Maybe it's just because I knew the outcome coming in with Baltimore and New Orleans, and Andy Dalton, and I didn't care. But what happened in this game?
Well, I didn't end up getting to watch it right away, so good thing I had hit record. I had the grandkids and dad come up and we cooked dinner and all that. So I had to start the game finally at like 9:30. I started watching the game. But for me, watching this one, you look at it, the Ravens look like they had the old rushing attack back. I mean, almost 200 yards rushing. Kenyon Drake, again, another strong performance with no Gus Edwards, no J.K. Dobbins. Drake had 24 carries, 93 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But for me, was watching the defense play and watching, Justin Houston comes away with 2.5 sacks, and then Raquan Smith, the presence of him back in the middle of the linebacker core in the middle, it was unbelievable to watch his first few plays, him making a difference just right away, right up the gut, changing things out. Holding Kamara to just, I want to say, right up 30 yards rushing. And they held the entire Saints offense to 40, I want to say like 45 yards rushing total. But it was great to see the old defense there and what they were doing. So, Lamar ran around a bunch again, but 188 yards of rushing for that team looks really good. And you look at the schedule, they have
pretty weak.
They have the easiest schedule in the remaining schedule.
I think you were correct that the Ravens will win that division over Cincinnati. They're starting to get things figured out. Cincinnati is too.
Listen, with Smith,
Cincinnati is too. But.
And look, with Bowser coming back, and that was his first game back off injury, and with Smith and what he's doing this year, watch out.
I just want to know why the Jets start finally figuring it out, and the AFC is so ridiculous this year.
It's stacked.
There's going to be some amazing teams that do not make this postseason. Speaking of the postseason, we are officially halfway through. You always make fun of me about where we like Major League Baseball and breakups. It gets a little bit more difficult as far as halfway season for each team because now they play an odd number of teams. But with 18 weeks, we can cut it right through. 9 weeks in, we're halfway through. So I'm going to look back at our preseason predictions because mine are horrible.
We would like to rescind all of our...
Yeah, and then we're going to have a little bit of fun, and then we're going to go through our awards, and we'll go through those real quick. But
all right.
AFC Championship game. Yours is okay. You had the Baltimore Ravens, because you're a homer, over the Buffalo Bills.
Still a possibility.
That's still a possibility.
I think it is a strong possibility.
Would you change any of that?
Knowing where the schedule is going in, I don't think so. I think the biggest thing that could happen in not knowing who's going to come out of the East, I think 2 teams comes out of the East, whether it is New York with Buffalo or if New England has something. But I think
Miami.
Miami, it's going to be interesting to see how that division plays out. But if Jamar Chase gets to come back and play Kansas City, everybody's kind of been. Yeah, I'm going to stick with mine.
This one's not a bad one to stick with. Mine is changing. I do have the Buffalo Bills, and I'll keep them in there.
Want the Colts?
I am not taking the Indianapolis Colts anymore. My whole thought process with that was I didn't want to go Buffalo, Kansas City. I still don't want to go Buffalo, Kansas City, though I still think that is the most likely outcome, and I would not be surprised by that outcome. I just like to pick something different.
All right.
So then I have to go with a different team, and I can't think of one. So, man. Yeah, Buffalo, Kansas City. I don't like doing it, but like, do I see Baltimore in there? It's possible, but they have bad outcomes in the playoffs, bad history lately. Miami's offense has been fun to watch, but can they stack up against some of these top teams? Yes, they've already beat Buffalo once, but can they? The Jets, I just can't see as great as it would be. Cincinnati,
give me back.
Could be fine.
Give me back that game, Baltimore and Miami. Let's play it again.
You might. It might be in the playoffs. So I'm going to say Buffalo over Kansas City. and it's chalk. But there you go. NFC Championship game. Let's get mine out of the way.
All right.
I had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Green Bay Packers. Tampa Bay might make the playoffs just because the NFC South is so garbage. But I'm not going to take that. Give me the 49ers now over the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow. I think Philly's in there, but I think I had the Rams, if I was not mistaken.
Yep. You had the Rams over the Vikings.
I still like the Vikings. I think they end up winning that division. I don't know if the defense is going to be holding up well enough.
I agreed with Robert Taylor on the NFC.
Agrees with you there. I think the Eagles make it the way they've been playing, but I'm going to say Eagles over Vikings. Eagles over Vikings.
All right. So those were what we had and what we believe now. I'm going to have some fun with you. We don't have to go through the whole playoffs because we just did our AFC and NFC championship games. But I did see what the matchups would be if the playoffs started now.
Right.
I only bring this up because there are some really interesting matchups. Okay. So obviously Buffalo and Philadelphia would be your two bye week teams. Do you want to go AFC or NFC first?
Oh, let's go with the NFC first.
Okay. Let's start with your 2-7 matchup. No, let's start 4-5. 4-5 is more fun. The Dallas Cowboys would have to go on the road to play Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Bucks on the road.
No Bucks at home.
Or at home. Playoffs starting. I would take the Bucks over Dallas.
Which, again,
could happen.
It could happen because
Mr. 100,000 himself.
Tampa Bay could make the playoffs with a losing record.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see that home teams during the playoffs is interesting. 6 seed, the New York Giants against the 3 seed, the Seattle Seahawks. Remember, we just talked a couple weeks ago. This was the only matchup that week that had 2 teams with a winning record.
I would have to probably, as much as I've been down in them, I'd probably have to say Seattle.
Me too.
Especially the way they played against New York.
Mm-hmm.
And taking nothing away from Daniel Jones. He had a great off week. But him and Saquon, what they have done so far, I still Seattle.
And then the bloodbath.
Yeah.
The 7th seed, the San Francisco 49ers against the 2 seed, the Minnesota Vikings. In the first round.
That'd be tough. I'm going to stick with my guns. I just like Minnesota. I do. Even with Kirk Cousins.
Oh, Christian McCaffrey. All day
and that's the
long.
thing. That might swing. There's going to be a lot of swing games now with him over there. So
and I don't see them being the 7th seed come actual
either.
Playoff time. But man, what a first round matchup that would be. All right, let's go to the AFC. Buffalo, your 1 seed. We'll go the opposite way. 7th seed, the LA Chargers in a divisional matchup against the 2 seed Kansas City Chiefs.
I gotta take Chiefs all day long. I mean, the fire that if we had to they ending the other day, the fire you saw on Travis Kelce's face after how he played the first part of the game.
No,
Chiefs. Chiefs all day.
Robert Taylor says the same thing. Chiefs roll. I cannot disagree with that. Let's go to the 4-5 matchup. 5th seed, your New York Jets at the 4th seed, Tennessee Titans. Jets. They can stop Henry.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could happen. That would be an interesting game. 4-5. That would be a very interesting game. I would probably take the Jets.
Yeah,
because
I think I would too.
So one-dimensional right now.
Crazy.
Yeah, Tennessee is so one-dimensional. So
then your final one. You just said you wanted it.
I did.
6th seed,
give it to
Miami
right
Dolphins,
now.
The 3 seed, the Baltimore Ravens.
I want a rematch. Listen, we were up 17. Yes, we were up 17 3 times and we lost. But I think Baltimore could hold Tua down now with the Bowser back in. You've got Justin Houston, who's been playing quite well.
Robert Taylor does
hold down that.
Robert Taylor does make a good point. Be in the cold weather. It's a warm weather team. So
I've been to Baltimore in
you were
in December. So I know what it's like.
If you went the way that you wanted, it would be Baltimore at Kansas City, and it would be the Jets at Buffalo in the AFC divisional round.
All right, let's quit
Crazy.
right
No, we're not going to go any farther because who knows if any of those will work. But just saying, those are some interesting opening round playoff matches halfway through. They're going to be completely different come another 9 weeks from now, but it would be very interesting. Some of those are pretty spicy. All right, let's get into it. Our mid-season awards will go at the bottom here.
All right.
Defensive Rookie of the Year. Preseason, you had Aiden Hutchinson, who just had an interception on Aaron Rodgers, and I went the Sauce. And guess what? I was right.
You still got the sauce.
Sauce looks so good. You know you are so good when Twitter blows up when Stephon Diggs blows out Sauce Gardner on some 30-yard play to start that game. And they all went quiet because Sauce Gardner shut everybody down from then on. Got an easy interception. I can't even give it to Sauce Gardner, the interception he had on Josh Allen, because I still don't know the receiver he was even throwing to. He just threw it right to Sauce. I didn't get that one, but fantastic defense. I do think he needs to get a little bit better at turning his head around. I'm glad they didn't throw the flag. And I will say, I didn't say it during the recap, but the referees for the Bills-Jets need to get a standing ovation because they let those two teams play. I think there were 6 flags the whole time, the whole game. They just let them play. And then you talk to Robert Taylor about the Chiefs game, and they're throwing flags
left and right
all over the place. He got a little handsy there at the end, did not turn around fast enough. Could have been called for a pass interference, which would have been a huge call at that point. Luckily, the refs let it go. I do think the Buffalo receiver tried to push off and create some contact, but he needs to work on that a little bit, but he has been fantastic.
Yeah, you could easily go with him. And I went against him just for one reason, and it's just because we have been so hard on this team.
Yep, and he's been really good too.
We have been so hard on him. But I'm going to take Tariq Woolen right now. Seattle Seahawks cornerback. What he has done, 31 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown. He's been hella good.
Yeah.
He has
hella good.
He has been
We have a hella good here on the arm.
And let me tell you, he has been really well. And I think he's one thing that's happening for that team. These guys are staying away from throwing to him anymore because he has been so tough. Now, is it a 1A thing? No, I think Sauce has got him a little bit, but I think Tariq needs some credit for what he is doing with that defense there in Seattle. So,
all right, let's go offensive rookie of the year. This one got a little bit more difficult for me as the true rookie of the year went down. Our preseason picks, I had Kenny Pickett. That has not worked out because that team has just been garbage. And you went George Pickens.
We both went Pittsburgh.
We all went with the picks. I still was tempted to go Breece Hall because it's midseason, and he won't win it anyways, and he has been so good. But I'm going to go, Robert Taylor just said it as well, Kenneth Walker. It's been absolutely phenomenal. I thought it was going to be between those two the whole rest of the year. Seattle is winning these games because Geno Smith has stayed away from the turnovers. He has a high completion percentage, which gives their team the lead. And then anytime they think they're going to get back into it, go back and watch how this Arizona game ended. Arizona continued to get back within 1 score. And then Seattle just kept giving it to Walker, and Walker just kept getting first down after first down after first down. He is taking over the second half of these games, and that's why he is my offensive rookie of the year. Half year.
Yeah, I mean, he is putting up numbers, and he's doing good. He's keeping that team in. With that being said, he's just short of 600 yards and doing that.
Yeah, he missed the first week or two.
I'm going to give the only shining light to this team.
Okay.
I'm going to take Dameon Pierce of the Houston Texans. Yes, I'm taking the Texans. I'm taking the Texans. Pierce. Only reason why is the numbers he's putting up. Yes, Houston is losing every game, but what he's doing there, he's averaging almost 4.5 or just over 4.5 yards a carry. almost 700 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns. Averaging almost 85 yards a game. I mean, he's putting up numbers. You look at Kenneth Walker, he's right at 570. He's got one more touchdown than Pierce does, but he's only averaging 65 yards a game. So I mean,
he
both
started
of them
slow,
right there.
and again, he just takes over the second half.
So, but I'm going to give it to Pierce.
Defensive Player of the Year preseason. I went Aaron Donald. You went Joey Bosa from the Chargers. Who do you got now?
I was between two. I was looking at Nick Bosa.
Mm-hmm.
He is doing quite well with what he is there in San Francisco. I'm going to go with a guy from Minnesota, though, and a former Baltimore Raven. I'm going with Zadarius Smith.
There it is. There it is.
He's got 27 tackles, 8.5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss. So he is just he's controlling the defense here for Minnesota. So I'm leaning that way right now.
And I hate to agree with Robert Taylor again, but mine is Mike Parsons.
I think you guys shared answers before you.
He did give me his earlier, and we only ended up with one different. We'll get to it in a second. But Micah Parsons only a half sack behind Smith right now, and offenses have to game plan around Micah Parsons. He changes everything for the Dallas defense, and for him still to have 8 sacks when offenses are keying on him. Shows just how dominant he is. That's kind of what Aaron Donald was for the last couple of seasons, is what Micah Parsons has been. How about your Offensive Player of the Year? I went Jonathan Taylor. He has been a straight dud. I'm glad I don't play fantasy football, because that would be a tough. He's had injuries and all that. You went Jamar Chase, and then you and I both went the same route. I think it's the easy choice.
Oh, hands down the easy
Tyreek Hill has been insane. 76 receptions on 100 targets, over 1,100 yards.
The closest guy is 250 yards behind him.
He is on pace for 2,000 yards. And everyone out there saying, oh, well, he got one extra game than most people would back. Now they play 17 games instead of 16. I believe he is 1 yard shy of the pace for what the record was for 16 games.
Yeah, he's got to be close. I mean, I think the only downfall with his number there is that he's only got 3 touchdowns.
Well, he's not a red zone target.
Right, and that's
fine with me.
Yeah, I think that would be the only thing offensively that you would wish he was more of, was getting
only if you're a fantasy manager. Give me, and this is what Kansas City did so well. I mean, they used Kelsey in the middle of the field too, but Tyreek Hill was amazing anytime Kansas City was in between the 20s.
Right.
And then Kelsey could finish off drives. They had other weapons there, of course, and Patrick Mahomes did a great job with them. This is not me saying Mahomes is any worse without Tyreek Hill, though Robert Taylor loves to say that Patrick Mahomes does not miss Tyreek Hill. I guarantee you he misses Tyreek Hill, but he has been fantastic as well. And Tyreek Hill is just out there just doing work. And the fact that he's out there with Waddle and he's putting up these numbers just shows how great of a 1-2 punch those two are. But he is easily your Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things you can look at to see who and what. If you want to look at just touchdowns alone, Austin Eckler leads with 10 touchdowns for the Chargers.
Yeah, touchdowns aren't everything. Touchdowns help you in fantasy. They're not everything as far as offense. They're fluky as all get out. Comeback Player of the Year. This one's really interesting. I know Robert Taylor, and he'll put it up in the chat. He told me Geno Smith. I don't feel like Geno Smith came back from anything.
I don't either.
Now, he got his opportunity last year with Russell Wilson being hurt, and he played well. And now he's getting his start as a starter, and he is playing way better than he ever did for the Jets or the Giants. But I don't think he ever came back from anything. To go back, preseason picks, I took Christian McCaffrey. You went Saquon Barkley. I will say we both took Saquon Barkley for now, but I have a feeling at the end of the year, Christian McCaffrey will overtake Saquon Barkley with what he's going to be able to do with the 49ers.
Yeah, there's a big chance now after a week off, after having 3 touchdowns, passing one, catching one, and running one in. Now he's got a week where he has looked a little bit deeper in the play calls. I mean, yeah, I can see him growing in there.
Yeah,
But
you get a week off, and then you get Green Bay.
Right.
Or not, who's San Francisco play? Now I'm blanking. I was thinking Dallas and Green Bay for a second.
I can tell you here.
I could scroll back up to our thing, but
I
just had it straight. Oh, they're playing the Chargers. That's right.
Yep.
So, Sunday night game.
Yeah, I think Saquon, that the Giants are still going to ride on him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what has been working quite well with that team, where they still don't have a wide receiver to throw to in New York. I mean, it's just gotten to the point where what are you going to do there?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Barkley's been very, very good, and he has been a big part of why the Giants are in playoff contention for sure. How about Coach of the Year? I went Dan Campbell, hoping that the Lions were going to take a step forward. I still like Dan Campbell.
I love
the Lions have not taken that step forward. You took Sean McDermott from Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, Sean looked really well. Still leading a decent team. He's managing the clock quite well. But for me, we're 9 games in. You got to give it to the guy that's still 8-0.
Yep.
And what he's doing with Philly, what he's doing with Jalen Hurts and all that. So Sirianni,
I went with you, but I will give a shout out to both of the New York head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Brian Daboll has done with not great stuff in New York, and he has been able to find ways to win. I still do not believe in that quarterback over there in the Giants, just like a lot of people don't believe in the Jets quarterback. So Robert Saleh as well has just completely changed the mindset for the Jets. But yes, Nick Sirianni, undefeated, and could continue to be undefeated for a bit for Philadelphia. He is your Coach of the Year. Let's get to our MVP. And you and I both took Josh Allen. And I believe, I haven't talked to you about this yet, I think both of us right now would have Josh Allen third in our MVP race.
Probably.
I have Josh Allen third, but I will also say Josh Allen is third in a 3-horse race. I don't think anyone other than Allen, Hurts, or Mahomes has a chance right now. Though Geno Smith probably should be in consideration.
Top to 5,
But Josh Allen is third. Who is your MVP?
Yeah, I have to go. You got to go with Patrick Mahomes. What he is doing right now, completing over 60. 2/3 of his passes are completions right now. On pace for 5,000 if he can get there.
Not bad.
I mean, he's got a chance to get 5,000 yards, averaging 325 yards a game. So I mean, hands down, you don't look at some of these guys, they are substantially away from even getting close to those numbers. It would be hard not to pick a quarterback.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's the problem. Is there? If
Tyreek Hill should be in this conversation.
Yeah, hands down. But do you give MVP quarterback and then MVP?
Well, that's why they have the Offensive Player of the Year now.
Yeah,
Offensive Player of the Year is the best. Is the MVP that's not the quarterback?
Exactly.
MVP is just the quarterback of the year. It's just kind of how it works. I know I'm not saying Tyreek Hill would beat any of these quarterbacks right now because they've all been playing really good, but he would be in the conversation as well if it wasn't just a quarterback award. I'm with you. I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes as well. Obviously, you lose Tyreek Hill, and they really have not skipped too many beats. They've had a couple games like this game on Sunday where they got a little bit off kilter a little bit. I think the running game's still not great for the Chiefs. So a lot more is on the shoulders of Mahomes than I think Andy Reid would have liked. But big shout out to Jalen Hurts, who made it really, really difficult for me to say Mahomes. And you just look at his stats. Hurts is throwing more yards per attempt. He's rushing the ball a lot more than Mahomes. Though, give credit to Hurts as well. He's not running the ball as much as he was. As the last 3 games, he only has 20 rushing attempts. And he's passing the ball more. Good passing percentage on an undefeated team. But I just by that slightest margin, I'm still giving it to Mahomes.
With that being said, I think we can agree that our top 3 have to be those guys. I'm going to throw a name out there for you really quick. He's got a better touchdown to interception ratio. He's got a better QBR than everybody. He's got a better rating than everybody. And that is Tua.
No.
Do you even think about in the top 5?
No. I have Mahomes, Hurts, and Allen far ahead of Tua. I have Geno ahead of Tua. Yards. I probably have Lamar still ahead of Tua. I have Tyreek ahead of Tua. All right.
Right.
So, no.
He is the number one. If you look at QBR, he's the number one QBR in the stats. You look at Lamar is number 5, Geno is number 4, and then Josh and Patrick in that one. Jalen Hurts is the number 6 guy. So I don't know. That name you
I probably have Kirk Cousins ahead of Tua, to be honest. And I don't think Kirk Cousins has had that great of a year.
No.
It's just they've been coming up with big wins. But no, and as Robert Taylor also says in our chat, yes, David, Tua has 2 number 1 wide receivers.
Yeah.
And it definitely helps for sure. Now, I mean, obviously when they lost Tua, they struggled. But no, I don't put Tua in my top 5. So there you go. Those are our mid-season awards. We will once again circle back to these at the end of the season. We're not going to do.
We're circling the wagons already.
That's what Buffalo does, and we'll see. Buffalo will be in the playoff hunt, but we won't do 3/4 season awards unless we get really bored. But usually these
basketball's about ready to start up locally.
These shows
how are we going to get bored?
Are filled up to the brim already. Let's get into week 10 and go through a couple of these games. Give me just one. Jets are on a bye. So I can't go homer on my pick, but give me the one game that you are most excited to watch.
One game that I would be most excited to watch. I'm gonna have to say Seattle Tampa. I think what can Geno do on the road in Tampa Bay? Can Brady get off the funk and what he did this week to finally get them a win here? Can he get 2 wins in a row? It's going to be interesting. It's always tough for Seattle to go across country. Same with any East Coast team going to the West
This would be once again one of those games I would probably pick the other team, but I'm locking in. I'm picking Seattle for that game.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. I think that's the game that I would probably want to watch the most out of everybody, except for maybe Minnesota.
Hey, don't be taking my pick.
All right,
I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings and the Buffalo Bills. I think it's going to be a really good game. This is one of those matchups that it's not the one I would pick,
right?
But it's a possible Super Bowl contender between these two. They're both in contention to win their conferences, so this could be a preview of the Super Bowl if everything works out. But also, since I can't be homerish and pick the Jets, how about if the Vikings can continue to win these crazy games? The Jets would be ahead of Buffalo due to their head-to-head record. Now, I also need to root for Cleveland to beat Miami, and I don't expect that because then Miami will just jump both teams. But Jets have a chance to come off their bye and be in the division lead.
There's a good chance.
But no, I also think that's going to be a really, really good game. We got some good primetime games. Chargers, 49ers should be interesting. I do like the 49ers in that one a lot. And then Monday night, Washington is that one team that just refuses to go away on teams. I thought they were going to beat Minnesota. They beat them for 58 minutes, just could not get it done. They're on the road against Philadelphia, who is still undefeated.
Yeah.
And we both think they'll go for a little bit, but division game, you never know.
How about the Heineke? That's
Heineke ruined everything for me.
He is playing well, and what he's doing. So I'm just going to throw that out there. So,
all right. Thursday night, Atlanta at Carolina. Back on my home team stretch. Give me the Panthers. Who's even the quarterback for the Panthers now? I know Sam Darnold's back.
Baker Mayfield played more snaps than PJ Walker did this
Sam Darnold's back.
But Sam Darnold is
Can
back,
all three of them just rotate every other play?
Just rotate in and out, in and out. I am actually going to take the Falcons. I want to try to extend my lead. As you know, I have an 81. I have a 7-game lead on Randy now. So And so check out those picks on Thursday mornings. They'll be out there. But 7 games. I want to try to extend my lead just a little bit.
It's way too high. All right, get to our eliminator. We won't go through the whole thing, but this week I am eliminating the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm done with them. I can't do it. They keep 17-point leads 3 times, and they've lost all 3 of those games.
Yeah, I think I want to go that way, but I'm gonna wait and go one more week with them. I'm actually gonna eliminate the Arizona Cardinals this week. I
can't blame you.
After watching, Murray get mad at his team with Hopkins, and then you see them all huddled around each other. It's like, you can tell they're not on the same book, on the same playlist at all.
All right, let's get into it. Our guest has arrived, so we're gonna have some fun with him again, Mr. Sean Pullman. Sean, man, how's it going?
All right. How about you guys?
Doing all right. Just talking a lot of football and craziness that's going on in the world of all of the sports.
Yeah, I've been asked to, like, why don't you do fantasy league? And I'm like, no way.
I have to say, I was hooked on that stuff. I took the year off. Just a lot of other stresses were going on in my life. And all right, I'm just gonna take the year off. Kind of don't miss it.
Yeah.
To be honest, I know a lot of my friends are getting on me about being back next year.
As an analytical person, I'd have to look up a lot of information that I do not have time to look up. So
there's about 4 podcasts that I used to listen to religiously every week that I just have not turned on, and I've been watching and listening to other things. It's been okay.
That's a dangerous rabbit hole for me, so I just best to avoid it.
All right, so let's get into it real quick. Obviously, not the weekend you were hoping for. Very, very tough competition in Corbin and Bushnell, but that's Cascade Conference, I think, in general for you. But you do sneak in. You still get the 6th seed.
Yep.
So let's just jump right in before we look back. Looking forward, you guys take Southern Oregon on Friday at 9 a.m. And from what I understand, you win that one, you automatically get Eastern Oregon, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So what is your guys' mindset going into this tournament where I don't know how you guys look at it. Do you feel like you have to win 1 to maybe get an at-large? Have to win 2? Do you feel like you have to win the whole tournament? What are you guys looking at?
I think we're going to have to be in the championship. I think we're going to have to take down the number 1 team to have that consideration. And so we've had a couple of tough losses this year. It is a tough conference. I mean, the number 9 team in the conference, College of Idaho, who's struggled just with some injuries and stuff like that, but they're still a competitive team, beat Evergreen, who was 3rd at the time, and now they've dropped to 5th just from that loss alone. They went from 3rd to 5th, and that's what happened to us. We were 3rd, we lost to College of Idaho, and there we went. We're down to 6th, or tied for 4th. But yeah, I like our positioning, to be quite honest with you. I think we match up well against Southern Oregon. And who doesn't love an underdog? I mean,
right.
I know a lot of the LC sports they're not really the underdogs, but that's at one point they were. At one point every team has to go through that phase, and that's the phase we're in. We're in the phase of the underdog, and you got to get to the other side of that. And the only way to do that, I mean, it's very rare that you see a team go from being a nobody to being somebody without having some sort of an underdog story to get them there. And so what an opportunity for us to be able to do that for sure. And I like our matchup. The 6th seed is, can get overlooked. The pressure's really not on us to have to perform. We get to just go out there and do our thing. So as long as we go out there and play Warrior volleyball, I feel like that gives us our best chance.
And it is very interesting as the 6th seed. Again, you guys take on Southern Oregon. You lost the first matchup, but I think that was during the time where half the team was out. And then you were able to win a 4-set match during homecoming during that weekend, which is phenomenal for your team. But then again, if you win, you get the number 1 team who they have no pressure. They're locked in. They're going to go to the tournament. We saw that with basketball, where both LC men and women came in and locked into the tournament and just kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit. And that's a perfect opportunity for you guys.
Exactly. They're already going to go to nationals no matter what they do. They're the 1 seed right now. I'm curious the longer you're the 1 seed, I think the more the pressure. we might be doing them a favor by beating them, to be quite honest with you, because we take the pressure off for when they go to nationals. They can be maybe a 4 or 5, and a 4 or 5 can win the tournament for sure. And so we might be doing some favors if we can make that happen.
So obviously, I mean, we don't want you to look ahead, like if you do this or you do that, but just kind of break down how all of these tournaments work. Does it work kind of like basketball where there's an opening round site, and then if you win the opening round site, you go to the main site, or how does it work for volleyball?
Yeah, they just changed it. It used to be there were so many opening rounds that people had to have, and then I think there was like the top 16 automatically went. They've changed it so they can open the field to more teams. But what they did as a requirement of that is everybody has to play a first round game. It can be regional, but that's not. They try to keep it regional as much as they can, but that's not an absolute requirement. So, so there's a chance we could be. I mean, we could go to California. We could go to. Although I think if we got into a seed at this point, it's going to be a pretty low seed, which means we're going to have to go to play somewhere at a high seed, and they're probably not going to allow us to. And that player can do it. And, she was conference player of the week. She may have even been national player of the week. I mean, she had 21 kills against us in those 3 sets. I mean, she came off of a kind of a fresh ankle injury. She was about a week and a half off of it or whatever else. And so she just, I mean, they have that player. We don't have someone that has that ability to go off and take the course of the entire team in that direction. We really do rely and require everybody to do their part.
Nice balance.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's the double-edged sword, right? Is that it takes everybody, which is a nice team thing, and then the frustrating part is it takes everybody,
right?
And so that kind of is like, all right, like what we can have players be a little bit off, but being like no shows, that's really where it hurts is you get a no show. And so like Bushnell this weekend, I mean, we had too many no shows kind of, and Bushnell did a great job. So it's not
and it's all sports. And I've had this conversation even with the players, that I coach, and it's all about being mental, being in the moment, being there, ready to go, and now it's that time of the season where you got to show up, you got to be there to make the difference.
And by the way, everybody listening, sorry about that. My internet died, but we're back. We're good.
Oh, gotcha. I'm glad we get to play postseason, to be honest with you. There's some legit teams staying home. Any one of them could have replaced just about anybody that's going to the tournament, and the competitiveness level wouldn't have dropped. I made the proposal last year to change the number of teams in the conference tournament to 8, and the conference is a little slow when it wants to make changes. They want to think about it for a year before they make the change. And so I've had a lot of people go, we need to increase the size of the tournament.
It's one of those weird things because to me, college and the pros are a lot different. I am very opposed to pro level sports increasing their playoffs, but I get it money wise. But college ones, it's just the experience that you're able to go through. Like March Madness expanding, sure, double that stuff. Let's have some fun with it. And for the Cascade Conference, especially the way it's going right now, it's there are 3 kind of teams that are still trying to get their feet underneath them as far as the program goes right now. So you expand it to 8. There's just one team really that's very competitive that wouldn't make it.
Right.
Though the crazy person in me loves it being at 6 because then I get to spend all week trying to look up playoff scenarios and try to figure out stuff. I had Danner messaging me before the one of the basketball games before your guys' game on Saturday. He's like, all right, so what does LC have to do to get in? I'm like, well, if LC wins, they're in. That's easy. I think it was if the Northwest won.
Northwest beat the number 1 team in the country.
And then I told them
OIT would have lost to a team that's only won 1 game all year or something like that.
So I basically message them. I go, if LC wins, they're in. If Northwest loses, like I think they should, then LC should be in because they own the tiebreaker over OIT. If Northwest wins, then I don't know.
Yeah. Northwest would have won. OIT would have had to lose in order for us to drop OIT out. So we had the tiebreaker against OIT. We had the 3-way tiebreaker against Northwest and OIT. We didn't have the tiebreaker straight up against Northwest.
Yeah, it's just it was all sorts of weird.
It was a lot of scenarios that I have an Excel spreadsheet.
It's so much fun to kind of break that down.
I don't know how you do it because you do it for the bowling league.
So
and with all the tie breaks, and it drives my
anybody that knows
batty.
We do a bowling league based on the NFL, and we do it straight. Okay. We do the schedule's the same, the playoffs are the same, the standings and tiebreakers work the exact same. You win, you get all that stuff. So come the last week, I come out with the playoff scenarios for all these teams, so they know if they have to come back the next week or not. And usually it's the NFC in our league that just drives us bonkers with how many crazy scenarios. I have had to create a color-coded spreadsheet with every possible outcome out of 7 different games to go through, just to say maybe for that one scenario or something to have. So I get it. I have a lot of fun with it. So while I'm with you about expanding the playoffs would be great for everybody, it takes some of the scenarios,
some of the fun away from you.
Yeah, for me at least.
From you at least.
I don't think that the ladies would agree, but
I think it's just a matter of you look at the case of College of Idaho. They were hurt all year. They didn't really start to get healthy till closer to the end of the year. That's when they started becoming more competitive. Give them a shot. I think they can maybe show what they're worth. And instead they end their season and they ended on a high note. They took down Evergreen, but still at the same time, like that's a scenario where, if they would have been able to get in, and this year they wouldn't have been able to get in, so it doesn't really matter because they would have been the 9th team. But at the same time, it's just like not every team has it all together. Injuries with COVID. I mean, we had 4 games this year forfeit because of COVID in the conference out of the 3 seasons. It's kind of crazy, but I think that one of the reasons why they really wanted to hold off and they weren't really sure about it, if I'm honest with you, and there's going to be some other sports teams coaches that might get upset about this, is I think there's some people afraid of basketball. Like now we're infringing on basketball's time because we don't know who the host team is until somebody wins. And so now you're telling a team you have to hold off. You can't host anything this weekend. You can't host games. You can't do anything. Well, that means that LC can't go to anybody in the Cascade pretty much. They have to go somewhere else in order to do that. So all of Cascade has to go outside the Cascade in order to play that weekend. But I'm kind of like, basketball would cut our wrists. Like they would cut our throats in order to get their basketball season or postseason in. So what are we doing here? So it's just like postseason should be respected.
And it's one weekend.
Yeah.
And it's before the Cascade League starts,
but,
really, for basketball. So,
but there was some talk during our Cascade conference meetings with the volleyball coaches that were like, yeah, what about basketball? And I'm like, what do you mean, what about basketball? You think they're asking what about volleyball? They're not asking what about volleyball,
right.
So, but we're fortunate at our school. We have the resources, the facilities, the ability to be able to do. We'd be able to either do both, or we'd figure out a way. So we're fortunate.
Yeah, we had to do that a couple weeks ago, where basketball was at noon and then volleyball was at 5, and then they flipped it out pretty quick. I want to get to your team. You talked about having some girls show some games and having the depth at least to be able to cover that. I've had a lot of fun doing the play-by-play, because Alicia will be over to my left doing the scores and stuff. And usually if LC wins, we'll bring one of the players on and have a conversation. And she'll look at me at the end of the game and she's like, who do you want? Like, I don't know. Because you just look at the stat sheet and usually you want to pick out the best player. Yeah. And it's 4 or 5 girls, just always. Yeah. That it's like one of them. I don't know. It's just whoever wants to come talk to me. Yeah. That's how it works. So how does that work for you? And we've talked about it before, but that ups and downs of having good depth, which is great in case somebody doesn't show up, but having so many good players that aren't going to get a lot of playing time at first, just while you're trying to work stuff out. How do you work through that?
Yeah. It's certainly a tough portion of the job. Being able to find the balance between, we got to be competitive, offer playing time to some players. And what in one situation when we were up at, and I don't know if I said this last time, but when we were up in Multnomah and Warner Pack up there, we were going through injuries, and there was 1 or 2 kids. We still were like, we got to get playing. I mean, I'm not going to not get a kid playing time if we're up 2-0 against a team I know we can handle. And unfortunately, I don't know if our confidence dropped or if it was just circumstantial, but whatever happened, it was kind of this like, well, why are we getting playing time when we're not, like every time we're trying to get people playing time, we're struggling. And it's like, well, you got to know where do you stand as a coach? Are you trying to get kids playing time and you're going to sacrifice some points in some games? Or are you just going to be there only for the win and forget the fact that they need, it's not a feel good thing. It's not for feelings. It's not about that. It's about you if not, then redshirt them. Tell them you're not going to play, redshirt them and let them develop. But that's not our plan with those kids. So can we find playing time and then stick to your gut and not wimp out a little bit, not freak out and go, oh, well, I don't want to lose this game, so I'm not going to. It's like, no, I trust the kids. I trust our team. I know we can handle this. It can happen. It's not to say it wasn't stressful, but at the same time, we did what we said we were going to do. And that was get some kids some playing time. And that happened against Warner Pack here at home as well. We were able to get some people some playing time, because you never know, you never know when someone goes down, just isn't in the right mind, and you just need to get them in there. And they're like, well, I haven't played at all. 0. I've got 0 playing time. And here I am supposed to uphold this thing or whatever, make a difference. And at least we've got the ability to do that. So,
and I want to get through some players for 2 reasons, because it's fun to get your perspective on it. Like Robert said, you're very open and honest about stuff. But 2, and I've said this many times through the show, I work smarter, not harder. And I'm doing the preview for volleyball for the Tribune.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, I'll just get Coach on the show and I can get my quotes off of that.
There you go.
So we'll get to some of the players. But if you may, I am now a seasoned expert on volleyball, because I have called home games for 2 seasons.
Boom.
And I just would like to throw out my suggestion that Ashley Bachman is 1-0 in points that she was up at the net. So we need to see 5-2 Ashley Bachman at the net more often.
Absolutely.
Just kind of talk about that situation that happened a week ago, just a silly substitution error or whatever happened. And the judge went, nope, she's got to stay out there.
Yep.
And luckily we won the point. But I'm just saying she is perfect at the net this year.
Yeah, she is. And that'll go down as a memory for us in the 2022 season. I
don't know if I even called that point. I laughed the whole time. Not at Ashley being out there. Her reaction was hilarious.
Yeah.
But the benches, it was great.
Yeah. Well, I looked. I think it was it Kenny was our libero was serving, I believe. And so I looked at her and I go, now would be a good time for an ace. And she serves it. Ball gets passed over the net, which technically isn't an ace, but it leads to us killing it and getting the point off of it. And it's like, man, that couldn't have drawn that up any better right there. I really couldn't.
And I want to say my memory is not great, but I laughed because I was like, all right, I don't know if I'm going to watch the rest of this point. I'm just going to watch Ashley's reaction to everything.
Sure.
And I want to say when the serve went off, I want to say Lacey just pushed her.
Yeah.
Like just go over
outside.
there. And then luckily Lacey, I believe it was Lacey, went and got the kill out of it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If you're having issues on Friday,
don't tell her. And then I'm going to have a line of my DSs all going, it's my turn, coach. Yeah. It's my turn. So.
That was great. It was one of my favorite moments of the whole year.
Yeah. That hasn't happened in a really long time. I don't think that's happened during my time here. It sometimes happens at the NCAA or JUCO level when you have substitution limits, because you run out of subs.
Yeah.
And so, but the NAIA level, you don't run out of subs. So it's just one of those things that it was unfortunate that somebody wasn't paying attention, didn't get to the sub zone, and here we are.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah,
I mean, like you said, it was an error, but it turned out to be fantastic, and you guys won the point,
and a memorable thing for the season.
So let's talk about the seniors.
Okay.
It was six that we honored during senior night because Kenzie's coming back.
Yep.
So it was great to hear that news, but just kind of talk about those 6 seniors and what you think of each of them, and obviously what it would mean if you're able to get them to this NAIA tournament.
Yeah. I mean, that's a heavy question. I think our 6 seniors are incredible humans, let alone some pretty good volleyball players too. We had kind of a side comment here. We had a discussion this last weekend. I said, you're pretty good at volleyball. And they're like, just pretty good? I'm not good. I'm like, to me, pretty good means actually better than good. You're pretty good at volleyball, anyway. And so, yeah, I mean, Kenzie Cloward, she is kind of she's the kid that she wants to protect everybody, make sure that they're just, if somebody forgets something, she's the first one that says, I forgot something. She'll cover for them. She's kind of she's that friend that tries to cover for the other friend and make sure that they don't get in trouble. Like it was so my fault, coach. It's my fault. And it's like, who are you covering for? And so she will actually return as well, but she will be doing it in the form as Morgan Ness is going to be moving on. And so she'll be our graduate assistant. Basically, she's going to go through the.
Oh, good. So she gives Bug Hagen even more.
Yeah. She's ball fun.
Listen, she is with everything that has transpired with me over the last month. She is one of those ones that has reached out and, very supportive of what's going on in my life right now. You can tell that's with her and her entire team. And that's one thing I love about that girl and what even the entire staff. I mean, it's just crazy to see. And that I think that's a good fit for her.
Yeah.
To come in and do that.
You're just making her as your scout, right? As your recruiter.
Yeah. Actually, she helped us get Lacey because she played with her. She helped us get Cass because she played with her.
I gave her that idea when she was on the show.
Yeah.
You're bringing in all these great players.
Yeah.
Like who else have you played with?
Yeah. And the funny story about Cloward is that when we were recruiting her, it was between her and one other libero that we were looking at. And we actually thumbed through social media. So people listening, if you're, wanting to get recruited, social media does matter. But you could see the difference between the two. One was all about her and only her and the way she held herself, and like it was purely the fun she was having in life. And for Cloward, it was about family and gratefulness. And it was pretty easy to see which one had a little bit, what do they stand for? Who do they want people to see them as? And so that's one of the reasons why Cloward made our team was from that. So
nice.
So yeah, and a goofball, by the way.
Yes.
I mean, just
100%.
Total goofball. She keeps us laughing all the time. Her partner in crime is Cass Nelson, and she is also a goofball. And this weekend they heard about this Sprite challenge where you have to chug a Sprite without throwing up or something, and it was a hot mess. I mean, we happened to be in the hotel room right next to theirs, and we had to is everybody okay? Like, I know you're not like drinking. You couldn't have gotten drunk in the 30 minutes we've been at the hotel, so you're not puking from that. What's going on? And they're like, "Oh, we're doing a challenge," and it's like, "Oh my gosh, guys! Like, let's keep it. Let's keep it."
It's one of the more tame challenges I've heard.
Yeah,
so that's okay.
Yeah. But
I don't know. Looking at the bus ride this last week would look pretty fun, and having those girls at your social media for LC volleyball, it was quite comical watching them all toast their coffees in the morning. And
yeah, and Cass runs our social media. She does such a good job. That's part of what she wants to do in her career is run sports marketing, kind of in that realm. And so she's actually, that's why she's running it for us. And she's done an amazing job. So, and she's an energy bug. And so she's, if the team's doing cheers, she's the one helping do line those up and telling people what to do. So, Channa Hart is one of the most positive people you'll ever meet in your life. The kid's got a heart of gold. If anybody who meets her just goes, man, I like that kid. And, it's just like, you're not surprised by it. And in fact, if someone was to say, I don't know about her, you'd actually think something was wrong with them because she's just such a good kid in every way. High processor in terms of she's able to compartmentalize a lot of things that are going on in her life to be able to say, okay, it's time for me to go. Let's get the job done. Just we're very fortunate. And the fact that she signed with us in I think it was late April or something. And to get a kid like that is just incredible. Very fortunate about her being with us. We have Carly Burnson. Carly and Channa have been with us for 4 years. And Carly came from a very well-established club and high school program, super successful, big time winners. And she's brought that to our team is what does it look like to be a winner and feel like a winner and act like a winner, and very trustworthy kid. She's your 4.0 go-getter ambassador, very reliable. Hey, I need this, can I get this? Or and has always been that way, and really cares about the success of the team, cares about me as a coach. You don't always get that as well, and so it's been amazing to see her grow. Jada Wims. So Jada's an interesting cat, that one, and not in a bad way in any way. She's just very quiet, so you don't always know what she's thinking, but when she speaks, everybody's listening.
So the one thing I noticed with Jada, because we had her back on the show, was it last week or the week before? The week before senior night, which we were told it was Carly, and then Jada showed up, and I kind of felt bad because I think Jada was like, "Oh, you don't want me?" I was like, "That's just not who I was told was going to be here." But the one thing with Jada, from the couple times that I've been able to talk with her, you could tell that she takes her time to really think about what she's going to say.
Yep.
I kind of noticed every time we'd ask her a question that made her really think about it, she always stared up in the corner to just kind of make sure that
she
was making sure she knew what she was going to say and she wanted to say it properly. But
Yeah.
One of the smarter people we've had on this show.
Yeah, she's been her and we've had a lot of conversations over the years, over the last 3 years, and she struggled during COVID times. Mom wasn't able to see her mom when she during the summer prior to coming here, so she was struggling with that, and we started bonding over oh, so that must be hard, and let's go see her, or come bring her out, and let's have her come out here instead, and so she did, and we've had some deep conversations about a lot of things. Jada is a young female who happens to be Black in America, and she wants to make a difference in that light. And so we've had a lot of conversations just about inequities and social justice and my ignorances, and just trying to understand, tell me about this and help me about this. And she's never once judged me for me asking questions and trying to find out more information, and try to learn how I could be a better human. And so that's what I could say about Jada, is she really does make me she helps me be a better human being all in all. And it's and then she's such a dynamic athlete at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
When I think about, okay, we won't have Jada as a middle next year, and her ability to spring and get from A to place B, and it's absolutely I'm like, okay, this one's gonna hurt a little bit. Not the other ones aren't going to, but it's such a dynamic athlete. It's hard to get that dynamic of an athlete, so to speak. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Am I on my last one?
Yeah,
Lisi Longy.
Yeah.
No, good. Lisi. Crazy story. We were actually hoping that she'd come to us last year. Now that she's here, she wishes she came here last year. Spent last year at another university. But she was thinking about leaving and then ended up sticking it out. She's learned a lot of life lessons here, and learned a lot of school lessons, for that, academic lessons. And I know there's been a time or two. So she played 2 years at a JUCO. She didn't set out COVID year, but the school she was playing for didn't compete. And so then she played last year and then this year. And so that's her 5 years. And she's like, so everybody else played during COVID and I didn't. Do I get another year? And I'm like, you're living it. She'd love to come back. And I think that speaks wonders about what we're trying to do, but also that what she's looking for was, I want to see more than what I see in this world. I want a bigger picture. And funny story with her is, she actually wasn't really that certain she was going to come here until July. I mean, we had her sign, we had her verbally committed, I should say, but there was some personal stuff going on, and there was a possibility she wasn't going to come here. And I just, called her up. I'm like, I feel like you're kind of disconnected. We're getting started here in a month. What's going on? And then, she just shared a few things with me, and we just went through it, and just went, well, I support you either way, but I need an answer.
Right.
You're a big piece to what we're trying to do. And the fact that, she comes in and has made such a physical impact on our team. Right. She's just so strong, and we're very fortunate to have her. And it's kind of funny because we see eye to eye, but we also disagree. And it's a really healthy balance, checks and balances of she knows that she can provide an opinion that might be different than mine, but then she's also willing to understand where I'm coming from. And we just work together and collaborate as best as we can towards finding the solution. And she doesn't have to be right. And she knows I don't have to be right. It's all about just let's find out what the right thing is, not about being right. So
yeah, just going through that just shows that, I mean, the season's not over,
right,
by any means, but just thinking of next year and calling this team, it's going to be a completely different
it is
feel to it, because there are some special people that are on that team. we've had most of them on the show, or at least, my post game. And I do have to say, I mean, as much as glowing as you have been able to talk about them, I think they have all said the same thing about you and how caring you have been. Yeah. And just, I think that's the one thing I take, because we always do that word association goofball game that we do. Yeah. And every time we get to Sean, it's either caring or over caring. I think we get over caring sometimes.
Yeah.
But it just shows the power that you have had as a coach. And that's, I think why we like to have you on it as well, is because as you speak your mind, but you're a very caring individual too. It's not, you're out here just, chewing on people. It's like you come at it in a very caring way, but you're very open and honest about things. And
yeah,
it makes it very good as far as a radio show goes too. But I can imagine being, under you, as you being a coach or whatever. I think it would be really good.
Well, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I need some of that sometimes,
Well, I have to agree with Holly, one of our watcher, one friend, Holly Doval, watching. Sean is the GOAT at being a volleyball coach. I would agree with that. Even yours and my conversation about Cash playing football. I mean, just what we, what we've shared away from volleyball and the show. I mean, you can tell where your direction is and what you are meant to be in this valley and what you're doing with these girls.
Very fortunate to be here and live out a life of purpose. Got the 300th win this year, and it just, when you hit a milestone, you just look back and you tend to appreciate, all the. I mean, there are a lot of players, administrators, teams, assistant coaches. There's just so many people to thank and just be super grateful. I found myself going, wow, I get to live this life with purpose and have a career with purpose, and it's been cool.
Well, you did a phenomenal job, and we'll let you go because we got to get the rest of our show in here. But again, it's always just been phenomenal to have you on. Again, we usually just we set out 15 minutes, and then when I know Sean's coming on, it's like, it's Sean's just here.
So we got one thing I want to talk about really quick.
Yeah,
we're on quarterfinals on Friday.
That's right.
9 a.m.
9 a.m.
How are we going to get the girls ready for 9
a.m.? We practice every day at 6:30, so we are golden. Yeah. We don't.
I saw that time, and I'm thinking, oh boy, I don't function hardly.
Yeah,
I'm barely getting my first set of classes ready to go at 9 o'clock.
We've been practicing all year long in the morning. So I have practice tomorrow morning. There you go. So yep. So we're good.
Oh, hold on. Before we let you go, because Robert Taylor has to take all the fun out of everything. Yeah. we hit you. I think we maybe even asked you this before, but is a hot dog a sandwich?
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
The hard-hitting questions are back here at the R&R Sports Report.
I don't think I would identify a hot dog as a sandwich. No, I don't know what I'd identify it as, but I just if somebody said, "Hey, would you make a sandwich for me?" and I had to guess what kind, hot dog would never be on the list ever. I don't know that a burger would either, though. So that's
that's fair.
Yeah. So
Robert Taylor and his question.
Yeah, he's just itching to play the God of War game, but so am I. But Friday, 9 a.m. Check lcwarriors.com for all the information to go. Either at least check out the stats or find a way to watch.
Yeah.
Again, if they're able to win, I don't remember. Is it 6 o'clock?
7?
6 or 7?
6 or 7.
If they win, they'll take on Eastern Oregon. So root on this team. Hopefully, get at least one win to keep that idea out there to make the tournament. Like you said, hopefully win win all 3.
Yeah.
And just automatically in. But either way, we obviously always appreciate your time. And I said last time you were on the show a couple weeks ago, you've converted me. I'm into volleyball now.
Yes.
We're good to go. I actually watched a clip on ESPN of some crazy rally, and was jealous that they were just on TV because they didn't have to do the entire play-by-play that I had to.
Oh, yeah.
But I just told Haley, I would have been out of breath. I would have been absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
So
especially the back and forth that happens sometimes.
But we very much appreciate it. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you guys.
Pleasure.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you. That is Coach Sean Pullman, the LC Warriors women's volleyball coach, and they are getting ready to travel down to La Grande to take on Southern Oregon for the Cascade Conference tournament. And they'll start things off at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
My big thing, I'm off on Friday morning. Don't tell my wife that I'm off on Friday morning, but
Good thing she never listens to this.
Maybe I need to figure out if Alicia or George or one of them will have it. Maybe I should come over here and watch it. Maybe they have it up in the boardroom.
Maybe
right.
And yes, Robert Taylor, he is legitimately a really cool dude. On and off the air, just having conversations with him at all times. He's the only coach I've ever had that literally like seeked me out before a game to update me on stuff.
Oh, he did with me too. I mean, even with everything going on too. So I mean,
all right, super quick. Let's get through the other hour that we had wrote down for the show. Men's basketball. Had a good week.
I answered my own question. Look at that.
George is on it.
George is the man. So we'll figure something out. I'll be over here.
Have a watch party or something.
Have a watch party up in the boardroom.
Yeah, we got the basketball stuff going on Friday, but I got the morning, I think. Yeah. Basketball was pretty successful this week. Men were able to beat Park Gilbert 90-57 and Rocky Mountain 70-60. So they go to 2-1 on the year. They will be back in action right here at the Activity Center Saturday at 2 p.m. against Providence of Montana. The women had an interesting weekend as they got a doubleheader against Rocky Mountain, and they crushed them the first game, 95-69. Kind of a surprise, I think, because Rocky Mountain is a ranked team. But Saturday was kind of more what I was expecting from this doubleheader. LC does win, but 80-73 in double overtime. Congratulations to Callie Stevens, who had a fantastic game there on Saturday. Was getting updates from Danner because I was doing the Kendrick game, and just a crazy back and forth. They got a couple games this weekend. They'll have an exhibition against Whitman on Thursday at 6 p.m. here at the Activity Center. Then also here at home Saturday at 4 p.m. versus Montana Tech. Also, congratulations to both the men and women's cross country teams as they will both make nationals as at-large bids. Cross country regionals did not quite go what I think either of those teams would have liked. I think the women finished third. The men finished fifth. I did hear a crazy story that the leader of that race on the men's side took a wrong turn and they didn't have it blocked off. So apparently the men and the women take different routes because the men's race is a little bit longer, and they didn't block off the women's turn. And the leader on the men's race took the wrong turn and ended up being disqualified. The team that was supposed to win didn't because of it. Craziness. But the women will be making their 22nd straight national appearance. The men will make their 19th appearance. It'll be November 18th in Tallahassee, Florida. So best of luck to those teams.
If you and I weren't bowling that week, I'd offer to chaperone that.
To go to Florida?
Well, yeah. I mean,
you're such a kind soul.
That's less than 30 miles from where my dad grew up.
Let me go to Florida with you.
I'll go and chaperone.
Out of the kindness of your heart. Let's get to some football, college football real fast because we just don't have time.
Guess who's getting reeled in? I'm reeling you back in.
Into what? Oh, and I'm not getting to this week. I'm talking about last week. But yes, you are reeling me in on our picks, and it's driving me nuts. Complete rainy mess on Friday.
Everywhere.
CAMI defeated Butte County in their quarterfinal matchup. Yeah, just a mud bowl. We have pictures. And usually we make fun of the photographers for getting the positions wrong. We just went, he put ball carrier because you could not tell numbers on these jerseys. Only 8 completions in the entire game, but one of them was a big one. My old Clute de Groot set up from David Clute to Caden de Groot. And that was phenomenal. So CAMI will move on. Pomeroy locked up a playoff spot. We'll talk about that in a second as they crushed St. John Endicott Lacrosse. They only gave up 39 yards of offense. Trevin Kimball was absolutely phenomenal. Kendrick rolled, 416 unanswered points now for the Tigers as they beat Camas County 46-0 in that game. Unfortunately, I'll give you a minute here, but Ephrata does beat Clarkston 17-7. Neither team was just really able to get offense going in that second half.
No, not at all. Second half was just tough, but hats off though to Travis Hendrick. He is a phenomenal player for the Tigers out of Ephrata. He had a big pick 6 in that ball game. They ran a lot of RPO, and so it was kind of crazy to watch them play. But Adams Field, you know how it is. Yep. Adams Field, once it gets rained on, it is tough. And I guarantee you, a few of those kids probably wish they had longer spikes on or longer cleats.
Congratulations to Garpal. you know, bringing back that program, got their first win of the year to finish off the year, defeating Yakima Tribal 26-22. Pullman struggled in their last game, lost to Prosser 55-0. They finished their season 4-5. So a team that looked like they could make the playoffs, everything kind of slipped off there. But real quick, the last football games from last week I want to bring up was just a silly situation that I do not understand how this happened.
Okay.
But, you know, Washington has their crossover game. So even those teams that don't make the playoffs will get one extra game in for the most part, if they want one.
Right.
Asotin, who has struggled this year, had only one win on the year, gets their second win. They beat Oroville 41-0 in a very snowy field. But they went and played at Reardon for this game, kind of a middle grounds game. Cody Ellis was fantastic, had 143 yards, had 4 touchdowns in there, just dominated. Then, after that game was done, Reardon took their home field to take on Colfax. Now that snowy field was a worse muddy mess than what you had at Clarkston or what Cammy went through, because you just had a football game played on it, and apparently there was a soccer game the night before. So this field is trashed. If you have an account to NFHS, I highly recommend just moving it to somewhere in the third quarter and laughing.
Yeah.
Reardon got a big play in the first quarter, scored 6 points. That's it. And they won 6-0 because neither offense could get any kind of grip at all. It was sad. Terrible, that's how you end the year, is on that kind of a field.
Yeah. I mean, it was terrible looking at the rain-covered fields and the snow-covered fields that hit the area, you know, Thursday night and the Friday morning, and with the wind that we were expecting Friday night and Saturday. So, you know, for what those players all around our area could do, it was just some of the numbers were a lot lower than what happened.
Absolutely. We'll get into what's coming up this week, but real quick, we'll talk college just for a second. Congratulations to Idaho for destroying Eastern Washington 48-16. Washington State got a big comeback win against, or not comeback, bounce back win is a better word, over Stanford 52-14. LSU pulling off the big upset, gutsy 2-point conversion try in overtime. Good for them. Georgia was the dominant team. Against Tennessee. They win that one 27-13. So your new playoff rankings: Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU in the 4th spot, and then Tennessee and Oregon. Alabama is all the way down to 9, which you go, well, that's not surprising. They have 2 losses. LSU's at 7 with 2 losses.
Yeah.
So we're getting to that point where some of these teams with multiple losses could sneak their way back in there, since we have some pretty big games coming up. You did say you are catching back up in our pick'ems, our non-pro pick'ems.
Non-pro.
I went 8-8. You're both 3-3 in high school and 5-5 in college. You went 12-4, 5-1 in high school, 7-3 in college. So you are only 4 games behind me. I'm 113.51. You're 109.55. So let's get to it. Just 3 high school games left.
Yep.
So we have 13 college football games, because I don't want to shorten this stuff and then have you say I'm not giving you the chances. We're going to pick 16 games every week until we're done. Well, I guess maybe then we'll just pick every bowl game or something. But all right, high school first. All 3 games are on Saturday. Castleford to Kendrick here at Bingle Field. 3 p.m. start. 4 p.m. start. 4 p.m. start. Tigers are going to roll.
Yeah, I will have the call on NFHS with that one. So I am taking Kendrick. They're just, I think, too much for Castleford, even though Castleford has put up some decent numbers.
Castleford, the last 3 games have been phenomenal as well. Grace against Cammy. This will be at Holt Arena on Saturday. Cammy only 1 loss on the year, but that was the Raft River. Raft River just got eliminated by Grace. So give me Grace.
Yeah, I'm going to take Cammy, even though it is a travel day, more of a home game area for Grace. I think Cammy, on momentum, they're going to end up winning.
And better field position or conditions at Holt Arena. Pomeroy in their first playoff game will take on Will Pennett. I've never heard of this school. They're 7-2. They put up some high points. Pomeroy has been great, phenomenal even against horrible teams. Struggled against the top team. So I'm worried about this game, but they did get that big win a couple weeks ago. Sunnyside Christian, I believe. So give me the Pirates to get this first round win.
And for that simple reason, what you just said, they've struggled against As much as it pains me to go against Pomeroy, I am going to go against Pomeroy. I'm going to take 12 in it.
Arizona State's at Washington State. Give me the Cougars and their 7.5 point favorites.
Yeah, they're not going to need 7.5. They're going to take a whole bunch more. So Washington State.
Big game at the Kibbe Dome. UC Davis at Idaho. I'm going to take the Vandals, but I'm worried.
No, I'm not worried at all. UC Davis only has 1 win on the season, and then it's going to stay that way. So give me Idaho.
I've just, you have those
gut feelings sometimes.
Those gut feelings of just a team is going to go in there, and it's weird to say the Vandals are going to overlook somebody the way the Vandals have been over the last few years. But I don't know. I just have this weird feeling at home they might have issues. LSU's a 3-point favorite on the road against Arkansas. Give me the Tigers.
Yeah, and also I'm going to take the Tigers with this one easy.
Purdue is at Illinois, 6.5 point favorites for the Fighting Illini. I'll take them at home. I just don't think Purdue has the offense.
I don't either. I think Illini is just too strong, especially a home game.
Louisville's at Clemson, who looks to bounce back after their crushing loss to Notre Dame. They're 7-point favorite. But I honestly, I'm really scared of that quarterback situation with Clemson. Neither of those quarterbacks are playing well. The offense is not playing well because of that. I think Louisville's going to come in and get the upset.
Now, if I was a betting man and we could bet on this, I would take Louisville in the points. I think Clemson's going to win, but they're not going to cover. But give me Clemson since that's the way we take them.
Alabama with the 11.5 point favorites at Ole Miss. I think that loss last week really is going to fire up Alabama. I think they roll Ole Miss.
I want to say that too, but I really want Ole Miss, but I think it's the same thing. Bama's gonna. I don't think Bama's gonna have 3 losses this year.
Iowa State at Oklahoma State. I've taken the Cowboys each of the last 2 weeks, and they have sucked both times. So give me Iowa State.
I'm gonna take the Cowboys. So give me Oklahoma State.
UCF hanging on to their ranking at Tulane, who's a 2-point favorite. I'm gonna go with Vegas. I'm gonna take Tulane for the mini upset.
I think UCF is just gonna be too much to handle. I'm going to take UCF.
Kansas State at Baylor. I don't know why Baylor is still the favorite here. Kansas State's been phenomenal, but Vegas usually knows more than I do, so give me Baylor.
I couldn't figure that out, but I'm going to take Kansas State. They're ranked.
How about this one? TCU, who is now number 4 in the playoff rankings. Yes, they're on the road. Texas, who's been a middling team. Texas is a 7-point favorite. Now, I said the same thing last week where I could not believe Texas was favored, and then Texas won. So give me the Longhorns here because Vegas knows more than me.
I can't figure this one out because Texas, as of Monday, they were ranked AP poll. You know, they were ranked at 18 or 19. I just don't understand how TCU is not favored, but I'm going to take the Horned Frogs. Give me TCU.
Yeah, Texas up 6 spots in the playoff poll. They're 18th in that one. North Carolina at Wake Forest. Weird ACC matchup, but again, when we're picking 16 games, there's a lot of weird stuff we'll take. Yeah. Give me the Tar Heels on the road.
I'm going to take Wake just because they've been playing well. They did not get the big win this week, but I think they're going to.
Florida State at Syracuse, who has completely fallen off the cliff after being a top 15 team, so give me the Seminoles.
Yep, I'm Seminoles all day.
And just because I know you're huge with the Bearcats, Cincinnati hosting East Carolina could be a really good game, but I cannot go against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I think they're just going to be too much. Cincinnati 4.5. They'll easily cover that.
And just for anybody that's knowing, it is Mac Tuesday.
It is.
Eastern Michigan defeated Akron 34-28. Ohio is crushing Miami 37-21. That one's right at the end of the game. And start of the fourth quarter, Ball State and Toledo would have been a game I would have put on our pick'ems if it had started a little later. They're all tied at 21.
Yeah.
They've each scored 7 points in each of the 3 quarters so far. Congratulations to Houston Astros for winning the World Series. We were going to talk more about baseball, but with Sean on, we'll get into baseball and all the crazy free agency that's about to happen next week. But I will say this as a Yankee fan. Houston was the best team.
Mm-hmm.
Houston deserved this World Series, but anybody that's out there that believes that Houston winning this year validates 2017 is highly incorrect. Mm-hmm. They have nothing to do with each other.
Nope.
Houston cheated in 2017. They won in 2020. Congratulations. but you still cheated back then.
Yeah, 2022 was a totally different year for those guys, especially with the ball club that they had. We'll talk a little bit more about them and their depth and what they had. Even in the bullpen, what they could
Their
do.
bullpen was gross.
It was gross, yeah. So, hats off to them. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you give them credit for it. The no hitter was cool. Yes, it was a no hitter.
Yes, it was a no hitter.
There's a lot of old people out there. A couple people at the Tribune that say it's not a no hitter. It is not a no hitter for Christian Vasquez.
No,
or Christian Javier. Excuse me. Christian Vasquez is a catcher, so he definitely did not have a no hitter. But Javier, it's not a no hitter for him. He did not finish it. But Houston Astros did throw a no hitter. Was crazy to watch. Second no hitter in World Series history. Third no hitter in all of MLB postseason history, which is just crazy to think about. But no, Houston won. They were the best team. They deserved it. NCAA basketball got kicked off. I'll pay attention in February. We'll talk about it throughout, but as far as NCAA stuff goes,
Gonzaga won big, huge.
No shock. There's some Gonzaga games in there that I'll be keeping an eye on in December because they like to have a crazy schedule. But if I cared about the NBA, and anybody that cares about the NBA always says they don't care till Christmas, like I'll watch some NCAA basketball, but I don't care till February.
I agree with that.
Joey Logano won the championship in NASCAR. That race kind of was I'm just not a big Phoenix fan. Chase Elliott got wrecked out pretty early. Chase Elliott's fault in that wreck. He kind of cut down in front of, I almost said Christopher Bell, but that's not right. Chastain. Nowhere Chastain could have went. So it was Elliott's fault, but that race was just kind of there. But congratulations to Logano. But before we get out of here, I got to talk about Joel Damon. Didn't get to watch a lot of it because it was a lot of other stuff was going on with football and NASCAR and stuff. But I had my phone out with updating through all of the birdies that he had there on Sunday. He was phenomenal.
Well, listen, he shot unbelievable 23 birdies, 1 eagle. And if you have not seen that eagle,
yes,
it is posted on the R&R Facebook page. You can go and watch that drive that he had on 17 on Saturday. Unbelievable shot.
He made a driver stick on the green better than I can do a sandwich.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And what he could, he finishes tied for third at 18 under with some great names: Scotty Scheffler, Will Gordon, Troy Merritt, and Seamus Power. So, I mean, he had a great weekend. He played. He struck the ball quite well. I'm excited to see how he goes into this weekend as they will be in Houston, Texas for the Houston Open. He'll tee off on Thursday at 7:09 with that one. I think he's playing with Tony Finau from when I was looking earlier. So that'll be interesting.
Congratulations on Joel. I'm not taking anything away from a top 5 finish in any event ever. But I definitely would have switched it over to watch it live if Russell Henley had not just ran away with that tournament. He was 1 shot out of second, and it would have been really fun to watch. But I knew he wasn't going to win, and again was keeping my eye out on it because as much as I have been trying to get Haley to let me add a third TV to the living room, and Addie, I love my 5-year-old, wants it balanced where we have the main TV and 1 TV on each side. I have not won that argument yet, so I did pick. Unfortunately, the Bills or the Jets was the local CBS game, so they got blacked out on my red zone. So I had to have the Jets on the second TV instead of splitting it up like I do. So unfortunately, Joel Damon got negated to my phone, but hopefully it does fantastic this week. All right, sir, I need a final word.
For me, it's just got to be, I think, pride, just because of everything going on with all the local sports, from Joel Damon to the Phantoms to Kendrick and all those guys, to be prideful of your teams and those around it, and the pride that the MMA fighters that we have here in the Valley and what they have brought to this, not just to this show, but to everybody around. So I think that's the big one for me.
I definitely appreciate everyone that hung out through. We had some technical difficulties in there. I know it booted us off at one point during the Sean interview, so thanks for sticking around for that. And I don't know if the audio issues kept kicking in and out, but want to thank, of course, Robert Taylor for hanging out for most of the show, if not all of it, and hanging out with us. Holly and George there at the end hanging out for the Sean Pullman interview. Obviously, thanks to Jared for hopping on in the perfect time where you were talking about his fight and the MMA fight, and just everyone in general in the area that continues to support this show through over 2 years of doing it. Now we are no longer on KLCZ. We are on LCWR. I need to figure out what that website is for those that don't want to watch on Facebook or YouTube. A different way where you can get to there's supposed to be a better player on that new website, but I just got to get that website. My final word is Ragnarok, because I'm going to go home and play the new God of War Ragnarok until my eyes bleed, or until my class starts at 9 a.m. One of the two, because I am so excited for that game. Also, good luck to the LC Warrior volleyball team Friday at 9 a.m. Thanks for Sean Pullman for hanging out with us. That's Robert. I'm Randy. This is the R&R Sports Report. But until next week, we are